Well, good afternoon. Today, I'd like to talk to you about water. I'd actually like to get you thinking differently about water. We very rarely think about water, let alone where it comes from. All of us will press a button and we'll get a cup of coffee. We'll put a few coins in a slot and we'll get a bottle of water or some Coke. We may even go to our kitchen and get a drink from the tap. Fresh, clean drinking water is piped to all four corners of our closeted world. On my way here, 37,000 feet up, a lady gives me a cool glass of drinking water for the press of a button. I believe it is for reasons such as this that we don't give water poverty a second glance. Now, as a mechanism for trying to grab your attention, I've spoken with the very organized organizers today, and I've asked them to remove all the water from the auditorium. Now, rather amazingly, even though I pointed out the risks of this quite high-risk strategy, they agreed. So all of you, for the rest of the day, are going to be without water. You are. Now that I have your attention, I'd like to talk to you about water. 1.1 billion people around the world, that's a sixth of the world's population, suffer from lack of access to safe drinking water. 3.5 billion people must suffer the excruciating pain of diarrhea every year. And 3.5 million children die every year as a result of drinking contaminated water. Now, I've talked a lot in the past about statistics, but they just don't seem to get through to people. And I think I've worked out why. It's because, A, safe drinking water is all around us, so we don't have to think about it. And B, when we do think about it, the scale of the problem seems too huge to contemplate solving. So we just switch off. Us, governments, and aid agencies. Well, today, I'd like to show you that through thinking differently, we can solve the problem. By the way, since I've been speaking, another 3,500 children have died. 30,000 people. This slide to work. 30,000 people are now suffering with diarrhea, and 8 children have just died in that short space of time. I invented LIFESAVER because I got angry. I, like most of you, was sitting down the day after Christmas 2004 when I was watching the devastating news of the Asian tsunami as it rolled in, playing out on TV. The days and weeks that followed, people fleeing to the hills, being forced to drink contaminated water or face death. That really stuck with me. Then, a few months later, Hurricane Katrina slammed into the side of America. Okay, I thought, here's a first world country. Let's see what they can do. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, nothing. Do you know, it took 5 days to get water to the Superdome. In America, people were shooting each other on the streets for TV sets and water. That's when I decided I had to do something. Now, I spent a lot of time in my garage inventing, and also in my kitchen, much to the annoyance of my wife. But eventually, after several failed prototypes, I finally came up with this, the LIFESAVER bottle. Now the science bit. Before LIFESAVER, the best hand filters were only capable of filtering down to about 200 nanometers. The smallest bacteria is about 200 nanometers. So a 200 nanometer bacteria is going to get through a 200 nanometer hole. Viruses, on the other hand, are 25 nanometers. So they're definitely going to get through those 200 nanometer holes. LIFESAVER pores are 15 nanometers. So nothing's getting through. We'd like to see a demo? Good. I came all this way to give you one. Now, I was speaking to the organizers, and I said, what sort of water would people not like to drink around here? And they said, well, from the tap. I said, well, okay, let's go a little bit different than that. And so we went out, and we went out around the streets, and we found some water sellers, and we found a guy selling water from a tanker. So this is the water from there. Do you want a drink yet? Now, I got to thinking, though, if you're in the middle of a flood zone, say in Bangladesh, your water doesn't look like this. So I've gone and got a few extra bits and pieces to put in it. I've got some leaves and some other bits and pieces there. I've got some runoff near a sewage plant that I found. Just put that in there. I went to a lake in the city. It was called a lake. I don't know what it was. And I got some bits and pieces, and that's from there. Some more leaves and stuff. And then I scooped up from the bottom of a river some really nasty stuff, and I thought I'd just put that in there. Because if you're in the flood zone, your water's not nice from a bottle, is it? It's nice and dirty like that. There we go. Okay. There's a bit more rubbish in there. Let's just get that out. Oh, yes. Okay. Now, let's just stir that up a little bit. Now, this is my dog, Alfie. And Alfie normally gives me a little gift when I go away to presentations like this. Fortunately for you, I didn't fancy the conversation at customs. However, after dinner, I met Rupert. I told Rupert my problem. He spoke very good English. He said, I think I can help you with that. So the lovely Rupert gave me a little present. Because if you're in the middle of a flood zone, all your sewers are coming up, right? So this is a present from Rupert. Let's just put that in there. Come, one of you come. Just smell that. Come. Smell. You didn't smell it. She's cheating. Smell. Okay. It's real from Rupert. Now we can stir it up. Lovely. Okay. Now, the LIFESAVER bottle works really simply. You just scoop the water up. Today I'm showing you with the LIFESAVER bottle, but I could equally as well be doing it with the LIFESAVER jerrycan, and I'll talk to you about that later. Let's get the PR in, shall we? We don't do advertising, we rely on PR. Okay, so I'm going to scoop. That's not dirty enough. Let's do that. Get a bit of Rupert's present in there. There we go. Oh, he's a good boy. I just put that in there. Okay. No chemicals, just filtration. Pop the lid on. And I'm just going to give it a few pumps. Okay? That's all it takes. Now I've got to be quick. You ready? You're not sure, are you? I'm going to get this guy. Ready? That is clean, safe, sterile drinking water. Cheers. Thank you. I think I need a volunteer. Let's get a volunteer. Okay. Come on. You want to go? Yeah. Come on. There you go. Have a smell?
No smell.
Okay. Have a taste.
Sweet.
What's it taste of?
Sweet.
Sweet what?
Sweet water.
Sweet water. Okay. It's water. Thank you. Well done. If anyone wants to go later, they can. LIFESAVER products are used by hundreds of thousands of people around the world. For the past 4 years, I've invented several products, the first of which was a LIFESAVER bottle. This can process 6,000 litres of water. The LIFESAVER jerrycan can process 20,000 litres of water. They've all got replaceable cartridges, so when the system shuts down, you can replace the cartridge and it prevents the user from drinking contaminated water. We make several products, but I'd like to focus today, and we focus on various markets, but I'd like to focus today on the humanitarian and governmental market. And we're working with the governments of Malaysia, the governments of Colombia, the governments of Panama, and we hope soon to be working with the governments of India to bring this sort of technology to people who really need it. Traditionally, in a crisis, what do? We ship water. Then, after a few weeks, we set up camps. And people are forced to come into the camps to collect their drinking water. What happens when 20,000 people congregate in a camp? Diseases spread. More resources are required. The problem just becomes self-perpetuating. But by thinking differently and shipping these, people can stay put. They can process their own clean drinking water, and they can get on with rebuilding their homes and their lives. Last year, I visited the province of Sindh in Pakistan for the floods. It was amazing. The UN, the Red Cross, the Red Crescent, Oxfam, and lots of other agencies did their usual thing and set up camps. And sure enough, people came into the camps and were fed and watered. And sure enough, cholera and other waterborne diseases started to spread in the camps. However, there were still hundreds of thousands of people stuck out on the causeways. I spoke to a doctor and asked him what he was doing out there. He said he was handing out chlorine and flocculating tablets, but today he had to come and collect them all in again because people had thought they were medicine and were taking them, getting ill, and having to be rushed to hospital. He was desperate. We distributed LIFESAVER jerrycans, about 1 to 50 people. And we only had to deliver them once. I thought it would take half an hour for people to work out how to use them. It took them 2 minutes. They scooped up the water from the floods and carried on. Traditional responses to a crisis are less than effective. They're costly, and they lead to unintended consequences, such as cholera outbreaks and camp dependency. Now, while my goal is to solve the problems in disasters for providing people with clean water, my ultimate goal is to end water poverty. How do you do that, you might be asking? Well, it's quite easy, really. The old thinking has been to install infrastructure, the grid. Cue Nelson Mandela. When Nelson Mandela came to power after he had come out of jail in South Africa, he promised that everybody would have clean, running water. The euphoria that surrounded his presidency, the momentum for change, and the billions of dollars that were pumped into that economy have still not been enough to solve that problem. For any developing country thinking of installing a national water grid, when they run the numbers on the calculator, they quickly run out of noughts. But there is an answer. Mother Nature has an amazing water delivery system. I call it the World Water Grid. And part of the World Water Grid, the most important part, are the clouds. They are phenomenal. They pick the water up from the sea for free. They desalinate it for free. They transport it hundreds of miles, again for free, and dump it on the mountains, rivers, and streams. And where do people live? Near water. All we have to do is make it clean. And how do we do that? Well, we can use one of these, a LIFESAVER jerrycan. This will clean up to 20,000 litres of water before you need to replace the cartridge. That's good enough for a family of 4 for 3 years at a cost of about half a rupee a day. I'd like to show you a video now. This video was produced not by us, but by an independent aid agency called Operation Blessing, based in Virginia, in America. And they were one of the first to spot the advantages of using this technology in a crisis.
Pas de courant, même là, on ne peut pas vivre dans rien. Seulement, c'est dans la rivière, nous prenons de l'eau, c'est là-dedans. Nous prenons de l'eau, nous faisons activité. Les nous venons pour nous veiller, nous venons malades. Que nous avons crié un jour, vendredi. Le jour vendredi, ça te vient tellement, puis le collège te vient pas faire bien. Tu es obligé de coucher, pour te lever dans le matin, puis faire manger à bâtiment. Tu es un petit là, tout petit. En dedans, tu es brel, moi, je ne suis pas brel. Pendant que je suis brel là, je ne suis pas brel. Après, non, bon, les consanguins qui m'ont donné de l'eau. Quand ils m'ont donné de l'eau, je n'ai pas de l'eau à vous. J'ai crié. Jésus, on ça pour faire nos Seigneur. Qui monde qui connaît moi je de l'eau bon Dieu crier après ça encore dans soirée toujours soirée même jour de 10 soir encore vient crier toujours ça va me faire mal et puis vinn gen mon a fait des moun encore a fait des moun encore chez m'a crié. Un jour vendredi ça devait faire mal pile. Pas de qu'on fait nos malades non comme si mais il y a des gens qui va faire bien. Pas de bien cœur content. Comment pas de bien cœur content parce que pas jeune de l'eau pour boire. Sous bouillon moi-même commencer depuis sous tête. Moi t'ai pour un petit de l'eau que moi t'ai gagné dans caille là qui va sortir dans la qui va là on t'ai prendre avant ça. Pas de chambre servir avec mon gars non. Moi viens mettre le bruit pour microbe là. Là pour me d'abord petit casse mon je pas cabrer. Me serrer là dit petit moun yo ouais.
Places we're going are just caked in mud. There's so much rain and floods have been going on. Operation Blessing here in Haiti, we're doing our best to combat this cholera epidemic here. Just outside of Lude, in this village in the background, you've got the villagers coming this direction. 60 families going to receive jerry cans today. It's an opportunity for them that's potentially going to change their lives.
Ça fait vraiment mon triste. C'était vraiment 4 jours. Pendant moi, elle te prend de l'eau si pas, te mettre dans le galon, elle filtre libre. Nous sentons qu'on espoir. Ça signifie la vie, signifie. Parce que moi, pour nous même si on sait 100 gallons dans notre pâte là encore, ça signifie la vie pour nous. Parce que c'est plus gros cadeau, un gros cadeau que bon Dieu te voulait faire. C'est un gros travail que bon Dieu te voulait faire dans la zone. Là, moi, c'est tellement bon. Là, je viens de boire de l'eau, là, je viens de jouer un galon ça. Je viens de jouer un galon ça pour tout le monde. Maman, j'ai galon, moi, pas mourir encore. Maman, j'ai galon, pas mourir encore. Merci, Opération Blessing. Parce que tu sauvé la vie, et bon Dieu a toujours bonne opportunité pour toujours bailler à travers le pays. Tout côté passé, tout, toujours. Et bon Dieu a toujours bon tout pour bénir nous, pour bénir, bon Dieu a béni tout. Bon Dieu a protégé tout le monde.
Thank you. Excuse me, I'll cover. So by thinking differently and shipping these, mothers and children will no longer have to walk for 4 hours a day to collect their water. Fathers will no longer have to drink the dirty water from the fields in which they toil. And children can go to school more regularly. This small, almost imperceptible change will have such a profound effect on the economies of the nations that it's difficult to quantify all of the benefits. The billions of dollars spent on medicine to treat cholera and other waterborne diseases, the millions of hospital beds that will be freed up for operations and procedures that I in the West take for granted, the billions of extra man-hours freed from the people now able to work will boost the economies of nations to enviable levels. And as the economies grew, education levels would increase because more people would be able to go to school. So the wealth of families would also too increase. And as history teaches us, over time, the size of the family unit would actually reduce, aiding the spurt on population growth. So with just $8 billion, we could achieve the Millennium Goals target of halving the number of people without access to safe drinking water, and water wars could be fought no more. To put that into context, to put the money into context, the British government alone spends about $15 billion a year on humanitarian aid. But why stop at the Millennium Goals? With just $20 billion, everybody can have access to safe drinking water. So the 3.5 billion people that suffer around the world from diarrhea, and the 3.5 million kids that die every year will live. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.